Welcome back to another Spirit Island video. In this video, we're going to be continuing our series of Is This Spirit for You? In this video, we're going to be focusing on the Fathomless Mud of the Swamp. Now, this is a spirit that starts in 2 presence in the lowest number wetland. The playstyle likes having sacred sites where invaders are building, but may need to recreate those sacred sites after oozing outwards with its innate powers. And smaller games might be able to cut off most of the inland lands from explore actions by destroying inland buildings and stopping new ones from being built. So what this is saying is the spirit is going to be shuttling those sacred sites around. It's going to want sacred sites in several lands, and then it's going to help create that pocket. And I think this is pretty accurate in what the spirit is doing. Now it says it causes a fair bit of fear, and I would definitely agree with that statement. I believe the spirit generates between 6 and like 8 fear a turn in the mid end game, which is quite a lot of fear. Looking at the starting summary, we have about middle offense, or I guess slightly below middle offense, less control, middle fear, middle defense, and the least utility. I think this is pretty accurate. Mud is a jack of all trades. It kind of does a little bit of everything, but nothing too well. I do think maybe this fear bar should be a little bit higher, but probably shouldn't nitpick too much. And just refreshing our power cards, we have Open Shifting Waterways. This is Gathering Dahan, and then it can deal damage and fear. That's a little bit of that control in offense. It has Exaltation of Tangled Growth. This allows the target spirit to gain a power card for 1 energy, and then you may gain a power card for paying 2. This is that utility effect. If you're playing this in solo, for 3 energy, you get to gain 2 cards, which is pretty cool. We have Thickets, which is a nice defend with fear. And then finally, we have our Foul Vapors, which is an Explorer push, 1 fear, so more control. So once again, Mud is a jack of all trades. It does a little bit of everything, but is a master of none. Flipping the spirit board over, we have this special rule. It says offer no firm foundations. I love the name of that. But it says in your sacred sites, build actions, add explorers instead of buildings. So just to kind of showcase what that is, if my mountain here is building on B7, because I have a sacred site there, instead of building a town, it's going to build an explorer. And this kind of goes off the play style where it says it's going to prevent inland explorers. Just because you're constantly building explorers, you're gonna be able to create a pocket fairly easily. Now, this innate here, or not innate, this special rule foundations, this is critical to Mud's game plan, and that's what I love about the spirit. If you love a spirit that is very tied to its special rule and it's thinking about the special rule every turn, this is going to be the spirit for you. There are some spirits where you might ignore the special rule in some turns, but this is a spirit where you cannot. You're going to be moving the presence around, creating those sacred sites and lands that are building such that you can prevent or soften those lands up. And then, if you may have extra explorers so the land is still blighting, that's where you can use cards like Foul Vapors or Open Shifting Waterways to kind of kill the explorers and to reduce the explorer count in those lands. Looking at the growth options, Mud is a 1/2/1, and that means it's placing a presence on Reclaim. It has a 2 presence option and a option that places presence, gains powers, and gains energy. And Mud has its own unique growth pattern. I think it's the only spirit in the game that has a pattern like this. And it honestly, at first glance, we all thought it would be super broken, especially when you combined it with the special rule. But it turns out to not be the case at all. I think I wouldn't really make any complaints about the growth patterns. Looking at the tracks here, it ends at 5 energy and 4 plays, which allows you to favor a nice major style as well as a play style. It has 4 elements on the tracks, and when I play Mud, a lot of times I favor, if I can get that correct, I favor a 3/3 build here. I find this to be the sweet spot when I play Mud, but sometimes I'll actually go to either 4 or 3/4 like that. Looking at the innate here, it's a sacred site slow power that must target a land with invaders. And this first line of text for 1 water, lets you move a presence from your origin sacred site to the target land. And that is what this playstyle was talking about. You're going to be creating those sacred sites in lands where invaders are building, and then you're going to use this innate to move the presence from that land to adjacent lands to help easily create sacred sites. And there's a really a lot of interplay with this innate. Looking at the other tiers, you can gain fear, do some more damage, push some Dahan, and gain some more damage. The innate and the special rule on Mud are where all of the complexity lie because you're using that innate to create sacred sites. You're then doing damage in lands, and you're also maneuvering Dahan such that you can defend and get such that you can play your defend card and get a favorable counter attack. So very intricate innate here. Another thing that I love about Mud is it really plays on theme because you're going to have a lot of sacred sites, presence all kind of bunched up, and it's going to feel like you're literally creating a swamp of presence, preventing the invaders from building in those lands. Now, I think Mud is right on baseline power level. It's not too strong. It's not too weak. Um, I think you're going to have those matchups that are really on the easier end, like England, and then those matchups that are fairly challenging, um, like Russia. One of the things that I don't like about Mud is I feel a lot of times I'm always playing my innates, and I tend to fall into reclaim loop strategies quite a lot, and I'm just going to showcase that here just a little bit. When I reach that 3/3, I'm hitting that tier 2 of my innate, which is super strong when you combine it with a defend, a way to move Dahan. So I'm always moving Dahan. I'm always defending in the land I'm moving the Dahan to. Then I have my innate plus Foul Vapors plus my special rule to like disrupt the board. And if you have 3 energy and 3 card plays, you can constantly do this. So once I found this strategy, it kind of took a little bit of the fun away from me, because a lot of the minors that I pick up, they tend to not have the elements you need to hit this innate, and these cards just tend to be so effective. Um, it just feels a little bit weaker. But yeah, so usually it reclaims a lot. Um, Not saying that this is how you have to play Mud, but a lot of times this is what my games kind of revolve around, is trying to reach this state here. And just refreshing what I mentioned earlier is one of Mud's biggest strengths is leaning on that special rule, that innate, and then it kind of does a little bit of everything. If you like this video, like, subscribe for more content. I will see you guys in the next video.